So we've gotten a lot of good feedback, questions, shares, a lot of views on the last video that we did about initial acceleration, how to use the inside of your toe, the inside of the ball of the foot, okay, for acceleration, shin angles, things like that. If you didn't see that video, let me know. I'll shoot you the post or the link back to it. What we want to talk now is about ankles, okay? Ankles, believe it or not, is actually the weak link in sprinting and acceleration. Here's why. If we get an athlete that can squat 400 or 500 pounds, has a box jump, okay, 40 inches or plus, 45 inches. The problem with sprinting though is when he goes to, or she goes to create all that power with the hip, the quad, the ham, and we go to push and that ankle gives, well then that's where all the power goes out the ankle. It has to reload and then come back in. So as you can see, that's where you lose quickness and acceleration. The other side of it is joints work in opposites, okay? So the ankle is a mobility joint. We get mobility in the ankle. Look at a person that has a big wrap. They're not gonna squat as well. Nothing wants to move as well. So if our ankles are weak and we continue to damage them, look at a basketball player. They put high tops on, ankle wraps. What's the next injury coming? It's a knee. Why? The knee is not meant to give you mobility, okay? It's gonna try to stabilize the knee or the leg. So if my ankle is now hurt and I lose mobility in it because I have to wrap it, now the knee tries to get mobility and we have now a knee injury. How many basketball players do you see with high tops or ankle braces and also a knee brace? It's just inevitable. So we need to learn how to train the ankles just as much, if not more, than we train everything else. I personally love plyometrics for ankle training. We will work, again, angles. Now, what is a plyometric? A plyometric is pushing against something that's not moving. It's very hard to register force unless you have certain, the tools to register a plyometric, but it's possible to train it without all of that stuff. What we're gonna look at though is we're gonna come up against a wall. Now, in my programming, we do sled pushes with one leg, and that is how I train to understand how strong it's getting, things like that. And then, again, working angles, driving out of one leg, and all of my athletes, when they start, they just can't believe how sore their Achilles tendon, how sore their ankles are. But it proves to them really, really quickly how important and maybe how weak that link is for them. For here, what we're gonna do is imagine we're just on a wall. So if we're gonna work on initial off the block or out of the hole starts, I'm not gonna start from here because that's not a good shin angle. I want the shin angle wherever in my sport I start from. So if I'm down here out of the blocks, I want this knee very, very low. Now I'm gonna lock that ankle up. I don't want it back down here. I'm not training it. From here, I'm training the ankle. Now, I'll sit here. I'm gonna take one leg off and I'm gonna push as hard as I can through the inside of that toe for 5 seconds, okay? And as hard as you can, 5 to 8 seconds, to where you can feel it. Because on the first few times, you're gonna think that you're pushing, but the fact is you're not really pushing through like you want to. Go back to the next leg. We maybe do 3 rounds of 5 seconds, 3 rounds of 8 seconds, and then we do different angles. So again, that's the start. Well, once we accelerate, our knee's not still down in that position, so we need to train the ankle in that position. We may come up into our phase when we are stretching it out at the end of the 40, for the end of the 60. And we'll train that angle too. Locking that ankle in the correct spot, pushing hard through the toe, okay? And then we will take the athlete, after we do that, we'll push him over here off to the side, have him get into that position, have him take maybe a 10, 20-yard start. They, every time, immediately feel that difference of how stiff that ankle is and how much force they're able to create through the ground with plyometrics. There's a million different ways to use plyometrics, but for ankle training, it's one of the best and one of the easiest. So if you have any other questions, if you have any questions on remote programming because you're not in this area, it's not a problem. We've got people anywhere from up in Chicago. I got one in California right now, one in Atlanta. So it's pretty easy to program even if you can't get in this area. You don't have to be in the gym. Give me a call, give me a message. I'll answer anything you guys got on this. Thanks.